Welcome to Daps Magic, the podcast. I'm Mr. Daps. And for 20 years, Daps Magic has been a place for people to celebrate Disney and positive stuff. This is a podcast where we do exactly that. We hope you enjoy going on this journey into a variety of different topics with different people. We also hope that you will join the conversation in the comments, on social media, our Facebook group, or even on Patreon. Conversations are more fun when had with friends, don't you think? And while you're at it, we'd love if you'd leave us a positive review wherever you happen to be listening to Daps Magic, the podcast. Last week, I had the opportunity to experience Pixar Fest at a very special media event at the Disneyland Resort. Daps Magic was among multiple different media outlets invited to check out this celebration of all that is Pixar. Among those in attendance was my good friend Lindsay, otherwise known as Princess Lindsay of Fantasyland. Over the last few years, Lindsay has been sharing tips and tricks on her social media platforms under the banner of Chasing Magic Daily. She gives these tips and tricks for visiting the parks in hopes of helping others have a magical visit to the happiest place on Earth. Let's talk about Pixar Fest. Well, Lindsay, welcome so much to Daps Magic, the podcast, and we just had a wonderful, not a weekend, but 2 days, so it kind of was a midweek weekend together at the Pixar Fest media event last week, and it was a blast. But before we get into any of that, tell us a little bit about Chasing Magic Daily.
Sure. So I officially started Chasing Magic Daily in February of 2021. And I wanted to create a place so backtracking a little bit, when my daughter was very young, I started taking her to Disneyland, and I would see accounts post like all these fun things going on in the park, but a lot of them didn't share like where to find it or what time these things were happening. It was just kind of like, look what we're doing. And I remember feeling a little lost, and I would message these people like, hey, where can I do this? Where can I find this? And I just wouldn't get responses. And it kind of is what started Chasing Magic Daily. I was like, I want to be somebody that shares the information with people so that other people can do this too. So in February of 2021, I was like, I'm going to start this account. That was right before we had heard that, what was it called? Touch of Disney was coming back. And I was like, okay, this is a fresh start for Disney, and it's going to be a fresh start for me, because I had a previous account and I decided to kind of abandon that account, and I wanted to start something fresh. So with the reopening of the park, I was like, this is a great opportunity to start a new account and do exactly what I want to do. So I started that account, and from day one, I've just shared like tips and information for going to the park, specifically with little kids.
Awesome. And I love it because you do it with your kids too.
Yes.
Bye.
Yes. Which here's one of them right now. Yes. My son, Torsten. Here, buddy. Okay, go sit
Who
down.
you've done vlogs with.
Yes. Yeah, I've done a few. I've kind of tried to take a step back from doing too much work, so to speak, when I'm with them in the park. So I will typically now go by myself during the week to get content for work and stuff. And then when I go with my kids, I try to focus more just on having fun with them and not doing work, so to speak, when I'm in the parks with them.
That is a wonderful way to do it. And you get to create the memories that way. Yeah. And then it's not mommy's always working when you go to the parks, but that's, exactly. I love that idea. So you've been pulling together information and sharing it through the last couple of years. And I've noticed that you're very thorough with this. Like, you get the details, and you have become exactly what that initial vision was. And it's grown pretty substantially as well. You've also created a YouTube channel. So it started with Instagram, if I remember correctly, and then it went to YouTube. Talk about what your vision is for the YouTube and why and all that stuff.
So my YouTube vision is a little more broad. I do share tips on going to Disneyland with little kids in there as well, but I share a little bit more. It's a little bit more me too. So I've shared like all the after dark events that I've gone to, which I personally don't recommend taking kids to those. But I wanted to share a little bit more of just my personal experience in the park. On my Instagram, I don't share a lot about food because I don't do a lot of food with my kids when we're there. That's not what they're interested in. Whereas on YouTube, I do share a little bit more of the foods and stuff because, again, that's just me. I want it to be more, my full experience at Disneyland.
And I'm going to throw you a curveball because I didn't prep you on this at all. But what is your Disney origin story? Like, how did you set that foundation that today, hey, I'm going to be chasing magic daily?
So I grew up a Disney kid. So I grew up in Southern California, and I am. Yes, I am very fortunate. And we had passes, which my mom loves to remind me that back in the day when she bought passes for us, they were $99 for the whole year.
I actually do remember that.
Yes. And she loves to remind me of that every time we buy passes and they're, $1,600. She's like, I remember when it was $99. But, so I grew up going to the parks. I have some really great memories of being there with, both my immediate family and my extended family. I would go with my cousins a lot. And then my uncle actually worked for Disney for a period of time. So there was a time where, I didn't have a pass for a little while because I became so involved in sports. And we would go, once or twice a year because of him. And then I got married and had our first daughter. And I knew I wanted to start taking her to Disneyland because we live so close. And I'm like, this will be a fun thing for us to do. But to be honest, I was really, really scared to go to Disneyland with my own child. Like, I was really nervous. I had never been with a child. I was always the child. So I was like, what do I do? Where do I go? I didn't know. I just didn't know what I didn't know. And it took me a couple months to finally gain the courage to go for the first time with my daughter. She was 10 months old. And I was finally like, you know what? I got to stop making excuses. I just need to go. Like, I'll figure it out when I go. So I finally went and we had the best day. We rode, our first ride was Dumbo. And I remember just spinning on Dumbo and being like, this is amazing. I want to be here all the time with my kid. Like, I had so much fun. We walked in right as the Mickey Soundsational Parade was playing. And I just remember her eyes like, whoa, like she was like just entranced with this parade. And I was like, this is so much fun. And that was kind of like, that was the kickoff. I was like, that's it. We're doing this all the time. Like, this is so much fun. And since then, that was 9 years ago, and we go 8 years ago, I guess. She's 9 now. We went when she was 10. So about 8 years ago. And now we just go all the time. It's kind of our thing.
I love it. That's very fun. And one of the things that has led you to is you've gotten some opportunities through connections you've made. And I think that's how it happens for all of us, is we got to go to the Pixar Fest media event together a week ago, actually. And I think I'm trying to decide which way we should go first. Maybe let's talk about the actual media event first, because I feel like we can open the curtains a little bit about what that is like, both the pros and then also sometimes the challenges that come with that too, as we collect and put together content and then produce it. And so we, on Wednesday and Thursday of last week, I think that's right. Yep. We're at the Disneyland Hotel, was kind of our home base. And when you think about the media event for the Pixar Fest, what are some of the things that just pop out to you as, oh, I loved this, or highlights, I guess?
I loved Andy's room. They recreated Andy's room, and I thought it was so cute. The one regret I have is I didn't get a picture of myself.
Shame on you.
I did take some pictures of I know. But that was really cool. I also loved seeing for the first time Talking Doug. That was really cool. I think those moments, and I will just put a little plug in here. I work for Mickey Visit, and that's how I get to go to these media events. But I will say the really cool thing about those media events is being able to see these things for the first time and experiencing them, and seeing Talking Doug when he walked in and how cute he was and playful. That was one thing that really stuck out to me as like this really cool moment, is like, oh, we get to see him like for the first time. That was really neat.
I actually totally agree with you, because I think there was lots of speculation about what was going to happen that morning with those of us that were in that little huddled group. And then when he came out, none of it mattered. Everybody was just completely enthralled with like, oh, Doug is here. And this is exactly how it should be. And
yes. And he's talking.
And it was fun watching people meet with him after they did their little moment with him first, because everybody's inhibitions suddenly were just like, oh yeah, I'm talking to Doug. And half of them talked about their dogs.
Yeah, it's a talking dog, and this is like totally normal. This is what we do.
It's only at Disney, right?
Yes.
But it was very charming, and seeing him in the park is actually really cool too. Like, I don't know where my imagination thought that would go, but it works perfectly, and I love it. And then, so that was Thursday morning. We got to meet Doug, which was a lot of fun. And then Wednesday was when we were taking our pictures or not taking our pictures in Andy's room. And I don't know. Well, I was like, I might not let you forget that one, but because then you won't do it again.
I know, that's true.
But the event, it's always interesting for these events is you're capturing a ton of content, and then you're posting it, and you're trying to curate it and figure out what's my angle, what's my story. And I'm assuming when you do this, you actually have two kind of channels that you're working through in your brain of like, oh, here's what I'm doing for work, and here's what I'm going to put on my stuff too. And so we started out our day, really the first scheduled event was the Better Together, a Pixar Pals celebration. Let's get this right. And so we got to watch that in the afternoon of Wednesday. And this is a new parade with new music and new floats. And it's the first time we get to see Red Panda May in Disneyland Resort. We also got to see Joe Gardner on the float with the soul. And then you've also got Alberto and was it Julia and Luca on the
and Luca,
and on the Luca float. And so first off, what'd you think of the parade in general? And then we'll dive in a little bit more specifics.
So I will say it was not my favorite parade.
Okay.
I enjoyed it. Actually, my favorite part of the parade is the song.
Yes.
I am singing that all day long, out loud, in my head, around the house. My husband, who is not a Disney person, knows that song now because I've
Better Together,
Better
Together.
Yes. Yep. You, me. Yeah. It's all day long. I think for me personally, where there's a bit of a disconnect is I'm more of a classic Pixar girl.
Oh, sure.
And so some of the new Pixar movies, I don't connect to, or I haven't fully enjoyed them as much. And so I know the big part of that parade were the 3 new floats with the 3 new Pixar films. So for me, I enjoyed it. And actually, I will say I really enjoy the Turning Red float for the song that Four Town sings. I think that's a great song. Oh my gosh. And that's a catchy one too. But as far as like the new floats go, I thought they were very cool. I do love the aspect of the Luca float where there you can see their human form on top of the water and their sea monster form below the water. I thought that was really cool. But yeah, I enjoyed it. And actually my kids enjoyed it. I took my 2 little ones on Sunday and they enjoyed the parade. But again, I have more of a connection to that classic Pixar, the Toy Stories, the Monster, all those. So I enjoyed, the big float at the end with all the classic characters. That was, and Coco, Miguel, I like Miguel in the movie Coco.
So where's your favorite place to watch a parade from in Disney California Adventure?
Ooh.
Or a couple of them if you want.
I typically will find myself where I saw you on Sunday. So right there in front of Carthay. The last few times that I've watched a parade, I've been right there. And I don't know. I just kind of gravitate toward that spot. I don't know. I feel like I always get good luck on getting a front row seat, probably because people don't realize you can stand there and wait for the parade because it's not really like a set spot. You kind of have to just start forming it. So once you kind of form it, you're there and, it's set up. So I always find myself in that spot for parades.
Love it. What's your favorite Pixar movie? Speaking of old Pixar.
Cars.
That makes sense.
I just love Cars.
I feel like I've read something about that on your Instagram.
Yes, Cars is very near and dear to me.
That totally makes sense.
Very
and I actually was surprised they
Yeah.
didn't have Lightning and Mater in this parade. Because
you know what? I will say overall, I felt like there's a very underwhelming what's the word? Representation of cars in the whole Pixar Fest. There's really not a lot, and it's kind of surprising to me because I feel like I know Cars is one of like their biggest franchises. They have a whole land, and I just feel like they're a little underrepresented for Pixar Fest.
I think that's fair. Other than the two cars down in downtown Disney at that marquee thing, whatever you call it. Yeah, I was actually thinking, I'm like, oh, I'm surprised they're not at the end or something. You know, that would make a lot of sense. And but no, I agree with you. I feel like there could have been more cars. One car that they do have plenty of, this is a good segue, I hope, is the Pizza Planet truck.
Yes.
Which the Pizza Planet truck, for those of you that don't know, there are about 50 of them around the Disneyland Resort that are hidden, and they're themed to the areas which they're hidden, which I think is amazing. And as an added bonus, you can get your own Pixar Planet, or Pizza Planet.
Pizza Planet.
I've only gotten one cup of coffee today. But you can get your own Pizza Planet truck. That's a popcorn bucket, which I wouldn't put popcorn in it, just put the box. But, and they gave us some, which was cool. But have you gone searching? I've seen a little bit of your searching on Instagram. How in depth have you gone for searching of the Pizza Planet trucks? How many have you found? And what do you think about this kind of trend of scavenger hunts we're seeing at the Disneyland Resort between the one in Season of the Force and this one?
I actually love it. I think the Pizza Planet truck searching game scavenger hunt is really super fun. And actually I presented it to my two of my children when we were there the other day, and they were so into it. They were like, I showed them one. I showed them the one with Grogu driving the car outside.
That's a good one. Star Wars Outpost.
The Star Wars. Yes, thank you. And they were like so into it. They were like, wait, there's more of these? They're hidden? Like anything that's like, you know, hidden or like a treasure or something, like my kids are really into that. So this idea of going to look for them was like super exciting for them. And they would, you know, they were thinking about it as we were in the park. Like we were walking around, they're like, what if there's a Pizza Planet truck around here? You know, it was really fun for them. And actually it was really funny because my 3-year-old, he saw the people carrying the popcorn buckets. So every time he saw one, he was like, Mom, I found another Pizza Planet truck. That's 4. And then he'd like look over here. That's 5. I was like, yeah, you found them. But yeah, I think me personally, I think I've found about 7 or 8. I know a lot of people are sharing them. I'm trying not to look too closely because I do just kind of want to organically find them on my own. But yeah, I think, I mean, from others that I've seen, I've probably seen a total of about 20 and 50. So there's a lot that I haven't seen.
On Sunday, I was looking and I found 10 of them in.
Oh, wow. All by yourself?
Well, it was just our group. There's like 4 of us on Sunday, but it turned out I was the one that was, I think I spotted like half of those, maybe 6 of them. But like our small group, like we found 10 as we were wandering around the afternoon, evening on Sunday. And I loved the way that they put them in world, I guess. And it really was a funny approach to a scavenger hunt that I hope they do more of these things in the future. I don't know how you do it for Christmas or Halloween or whatever, but I feel like they should run with this because they started with Season of the Force, which was cool. But this is so much above and beyond that. And I guess for those that are really wanting to, I don't know if cheat's the word. If you want some pointers, that's the way. The way we have a guide up on our site, and the way we have split it up is the first half just gives general, like, this is where you can find it. And if that's not enough, keep scrolling down and we have the entire, like, this is specifically what it looks like and where to find it. And you get a picture and all that stuff. But But I agree with Lindsay. Just go in blind and look for it because it really is fun. And you have at least 3 months to find all these and recognize they're on attractions. They're in stores. They're in like restaurants. I think they're anywhere and everywhere you can imagine.
They're anywhere and everywhere.
From the ones you found, without giving away too much, do you have a favorite?
Well, I do love the one that I found in Cars Land, but I think the most creative one that I've seen so far, I found near Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes.
And I won't say anything more, but I was like, whoa.
Make sure to see it at the day and at night.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen it at night. But yeah, I thought that was a very, very creative, like, oh, that was cool. That was really cool.
It works really, really well. I agree.
Yes. Yes.
So continuing on, there's a ton of characters to see from Pixar Fest. And they are leaning a little bit newer in some ways, but there's also some classics depending on where you go. And so kind of the character hub, I think you could say, is the, Pixar Pals Playtime Party. And we got a preview of that last week as well. And it is an explosion of Pixar and music and dancing and energy and lights and happiness and fun, you all name it. Things. Yes. Yep. Even the Pixar balls projected. Yes. They're not throwing them at you.
Yes.
So one, my first question is, how is this with your kids? Do they love it? Is it too much? Is it great? And then two, what do you think of that whole thing and the characters throughout the parks for Pixar Fest?
So I took my two youngest ones on Sunday and we had a blast. So I kind of already knew that they were going to enjoy it because they enjoy the dance parties that happen over in Tomorrowland, like by Galactic Grill there.
This is that and on steroids.
Exactly. Yeah. This is like that times 10. And so I had a hunch that they were going to love it. And I was right. I mean, we walked down into that thing. They ran off in front of me, ran to the stage, and immediately were like dancing and following along to like the cast members up there. And then it's not just that. Like you have that. They also play games with the kids, which we didn't really get to see at the media event. I don't think.
They did a little bit, but there weren't enough kids, I don't think.
Right. Yeah. So they played this whole game of like butterfly on the floor and the guy was leading it and they had to act like a butterfly. It was really fun, super engaging. So you have dancing, you have games, you have a craft so you can do some coloring. Then you have the characters that are like walking through, going to their meet and greet spots that you can go meet. Then you have Troubadour Tavern where you can go get like themed foods. There's just so much going on.
Keep doing this.
It really It's all good. This is why you go.
Here. So yeah, it's just, there's so much to do in that one little area of the park for Pixar Fest that it makes it like this perfect little hub, especially for families. Oh my goodness. I mean, my kids were just off having a great time. Like they were just living their best lives down in that playtime party. So I loved it. As far as the new characters go, I actually really enjoyed, Wade and Ember. I thought their outfits, costumes were really cool, very intricate. And I will say I did love seeing Luca and Alberto, even though Luca's not one of like my favorite movies. Having a son of my own and like watching these boys who are just kind of like, figuring themselves out and who are adventurous, and my son's very adventurous. Like I did feel like a connection to them, like, like, oh, these boys are so cute. And, so I enjoyed meeting them and seeing them. I would say they were probably my favorite to see from like the new characters that were out.
And you can also meet Doug and Russell there too, but we should note that Doug his collar is not turned on here. Which even if it was turned on, I'm not sure you'd be able to hear him because it's a boisterous place, I guess you could call it. And it really is fun. So you have the character meet and greets, you have the games, and then they do like would you call it a show moment? Where they the part where they bring all the characters up on stage and it's like they do the dance. It's a dance.
Yeah, they do the dance with the characters. So that's like, I mean, if you want to go see a ton of Pixar characters, you're going to want to go here because not only do you get the classics like the ones from Up, Toy Story, Incredibles, Inside Out, you also got the new ones from Luca, Elemental, Onward. And then the fun thing about some of the classic ones that are up on stage is that they eventually come down and dance with the guests like on the floor. And my daughter really liked that. She thought that was really cool.
On Sunday when we were there, it seemed like Joy and Sadness were like, they were the popular of all popular ones when they came down on the floor. Like everybody else, everybody was loving. And then Joy and Sadness came down. It was just like, and everybody.
I think everyone wants to dance with Sadness because it's kind of this different, you know, she's like feeling it, but not really. And it's like just kind of entertaining.
I thought it was funny at the preview or the briefing, I guess you could call it, they gave us for the media. Was it, I don't remember which show director, but one of them was like, oh, you got to watch Sadness during this dance party because it's really funny. And part of me wishes we hadn't been given that tip because I think it would have been funny to have that moment of just like, huh, that's really funny. You know?
Of like realization.
Because I think we all would have had it at some point of just like, oh, that's really funny. And it's.
I know. I took video just of her. I'm actually going to make a reel on it. But I was just filming her, you know, and everyone else is like, woo, and she's just like,
I'm just here. I'm trying. It's good.
Yeah.
And it's really, and it
cute.
continues on too, because they like move to different parts of the stage during different dances for the different characters they're doing. And I was noticing even when she was in the back on that stand thing, like her and Joy's being all joy, and Sadness is like at one point she just turns around and faces the wall, and I'm just like, brilliant, loved it. Yeah.
She is. She's good.
They also have Merida there. Did we talk about that?
Oh, no. And actually, I feel like that was one of the things that we didn't hear at the media event was that she was going to be there. I actually found out from somebody had posted a picture with her. So when I went, she was out and her line was very short because I don't think people realize she's there because she's not where the other characters are. She's kind of off in like a corner
behind
almost.
Troubadour Tavern almost.
And yeah, it's like behind, exactly, behind Troubadour Tavern. And I saw her, so I took my daughter there and she was really excited to meet her. So she is there as well.
And I agree. It was a short line other than Friday. I think when people first discovered that she was there and everybody that was there for first day stuff was lining up. And that was the only time I've seen a long line. Over in the other park, we also now have Mr. Incredible and Elastigirl. Have you gotten to meet them yet?
No, I went there looking for them on Friday opening day and I wasn't there at the right time. I didn't see them.
I think they're there. I think it's like a limited time. Like it's from, I want to say like 10:30 to 2:30 or something. Like it's not a super long time. But they're over kind of by the Hyperion Theater. And you've seen their costumes though, right?
From pictures. Yes.
What do you think of these versus the Incredibles costumes they get in Playtime Party? I have a really hard time saying Pixar Pals Playtime Party, by the way.
It's a tongue twister for sure. Say that 5 times fast. I actually have never fully seen the Incredibles movies.
Oh, okay.
So I know.
So can I ask a really out of left field question here then? What do you think of Cars 2?
That's another one I have watched a little bit. Is that the one where there's spies?
I love it. Like I'm the only person on the planet I think that really loves it. But I'm like, it's James Bond and Cars. I love both of these things. Like,
oh my gosh. I never thought of it
that's
that way.
Totally
that's
what
so
it is.
Funny.
Because to me, Cars 2 has some vibes, I guess you could say, that are similar to Incredibles and Incredibles 2.
Oh, okay.
So that was where my question came from. Anyway, continue on. You haven't seen.
Okay. So I haven't seen that, but what I will say is, as somebody who hasn't seen the full movies, until we learned at the media event, like because I think they explained like, oh, it's their super suits or something like that. If I would have just seen that, if I would have been a regular guest just walking in, I would have been like, I would have been very confused. I would have had no idea why they're why they were dressed different. Yeah. So for me, the iconic look of the Incredibles is the red. And so, if I saw them in that, I would have definitely had to ask a cast member, like, why are they in gray and blue? Can you explain this to me? I think it's cool. I do love that they switched it up for Pixar Fest to be like, hey, we're going to give you something different and see The Incredibles in a different way. I thought that was really cool and unique. And once I found out what it was, I was like, oh, okay, I can appreciate
now
that.
You need to watch the movies.
I guess.
Actually, I'd be curious to hear what you think of them. But I'll get into that. That'd be a whole nother podcast. I'm like, that would be very interesting. But right over there also, it's basically right outside of where they're having a thing called Club Pixar, which is a early evening Pixar party, I guess is a good way to call it. And it goes from 4:30 to 8:30 each night, it looks like. And I discovered on Sunday that if you're there at, is it 6:30 when the second parade is? It's basically a ghost town. Like there's nothing happening there, like during that little period, other than they have the Pixar shorts that are playing over in this wonderful little viewing area with cars that you can sit in. And it kind of reminds you, what is it? Sci-Fi Diner in Walt Disney World that has the cars that you sit in and watch as you eat dinner. And then they have dance moments that are, I guess, inspired by Pixar movies, and they play a moment from the Pixar movie, and then you get to see interpretive dance. Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's what I would call it. Yeah.
And then they have food over there, and they have some games over there. And I might have seen you from a distance on Sunday playing one of the games with your kids. And what did you think of Pixar or Club Pixar in general? And I guess that's it.
Okay. So in general, I was a little underwhelmed by Club Pixar. And I think for one main reason. So I think when we got details about Pixar Fest and this whole Club Pixar thing was announced, in my mind, it was going to be Mad Tea Party. And it was going to be a DJ, and there was going to be a lot of dancing. And I just had this vision in my mind. And me and a lot of my friends did. We were like, oh my gosh, this is going to be the best thing. So excited. Yeah. And I think it even mentioned like a DJ and stuff like that. So in my mind, DJ is going to be on the stage there, playing all the great tunes and stuff. And it's not that. And so maybe because I had this idea of what it was going to be and it wasn't that, maybe that's why I felt a little more underwhelmed. Maybe if you went in not knowing anything about it, you might totally love it. I would say it's similar to the Playtime Party, but on like a lesser scale. It's like a smaller scale, I think. And it's more based on.
Did you ever experience electronica?
No, I didn't. But I heard that was another thing people thought it was going to be like.
To me, it was almost a little bit like a part of Electrona. Actually, it wasn't Electrona. Yeah, it was electronica. So it was kind of like the opening moment of electronica where they had the people dancing on the stage that you watched. And then it was also mixed with House of Cards from Mad Tea Party. The moments where they're doing the interpretive dance. But the part I would love to see added to it, which this is only 3 months, so it probably wouldn't happen, is I feel like it did need that live band or live spontaneity component. Like there's something that you just, I don't know, it draws you in a little bit more when you have that unpredictability of a live band. Are they going to react with this person? Are they going to do that? And and their DJ is actually like it's more of an MC, I would say, for this. And
exactly, yeah, it's like a scripted kind of performance.
And I thought the vibe is actually great. Like I enjoy the area and the space and the feel. And like we sat there and got the nachos on Sunday and just enjoyed sitting and chatting and watching Pixar shorts for probably an hour and a half. And it was great. But I didn't actually feel compelled to walk around different parts of it and really like, I was like, oh, I've seen the dancers at the media preview. I'm like, they're good. I liked them, but I'm not going to go dance. That's not my vibe. And I did see a lot of like late elementary school, early tweens enjoying the dance area. But it's an interesting thing because I'm not entirely sure who it's focused at. And like it's kind of an all family thing, but it's also kind of these specific parts for different areas. And maybe that's perfect now that I'm verbalizing this. But so they have the dancers over on the stage that come out every so often, and it's really just pop music that's been remixed a bit, playing throughout, which was great. I really like the nachos. I think you've had them too. Okay.
Me too. Yes. 10 out of 10.
With
so
radishes.
good.
Who would have guessed?
It was so good. It was so good. Everything worked perfectly.
I do feel like the catering truck is a hidden gem at Disney. Like,
yes.
Like people,
100%.
I think, walk by it all the time because they're like, oh, it's just a food truck. But like just about everything I've ever gotten there, I love.
Yeah. It is. It's a great spot. And it's usually very quick too. I mean, there's never usually a long line.
And you can mobile order.
Yeah.
So then they have,
it's great.
That area, there's a lot of seating there. And it actually is a really nice area to hang out and connect with people. And then over to.
That's what I did on Friday.
Okay, perfect.
I sat there for a while. And I will say too, just to because I don't want to end on a negative note on Club Pixar, but the shorts area and the games was like a huge hit with my kids.
Everybody.
Hit. Like we played the games for like 30 to 40 minutes and there's just 3 little games. And that's all we did was just play the games.
One of my favorite moments, this probably not the game they were playing, but they have a big chess game. Like the chess pieces are like 18 inches tall. And at one point I looked over and there's these 2 little boys playing chess. And like the chessboard is surrounded by, I'm assuming, family members and parents, and like probably 3 cast members and a lead. And all of them were sitting there like very seriously thinking through each step of the chess game. And I was like, I have never seen a more engaged chess game with multiple people. Like everybody is into this right now. and they were. And everybody was helping each other out. And I'm like, this is what Disney's about. I love this.
Yeah.
And then they have like a whacker game that you can play. And I'm forgetting what the 2, or is it 1 or 2 on the other side?
No, there's 6 altogether. There's 3 and 3.
Because there's.
Yeah. So the rabbit one is for Boundin', the little, get that one in. My kids really like the one for lava, which is where you have like a fishing pole. And you've got to get like the little heart lava out. It's like magnetic. They liked that one.
I always loved those kinds as I was a kid. Usually it was with the water going around or whatever. But
yes.
But no, I think that area is actually a hidden gem of Club Pixar, just because everybody's going to find something interesting there, whether it's a short, whether it's a game, whether it's just enjoying the ambiance. And the car chairs are really fun. Couches.
Yes. And you have to look at the license plates.
Yes.
The license plates are really cute.
And what kind of cars they are. Like they have different representations of different cars there too. Yeah. So if you're into cars, it's kind of a fun thing. Like, I won't give away what they are, but I was noticing, I'm like, somebody really went through the thought process of like, hey, we need different representations of cars throughout the whole thing. So you often are going as a parent with kids, 1 or more, depending on the day from what I've observed. What would be your advice for experiencing Pixar Fest with multiple children or family?
Definitely the playtime party over in Fantasyland Theater. I would say hit that first and you'll feel like you've experienced so much of like Pixar. Because like I said, it's just, there's so much to do, see, eat, hear, everything. If you want to get like a really like all-encompassing like Pixar experience, you have to go hit that.
I kind of hope that continues on, like either in this form or in another form, because it's such a.
Yes.
I like things that make people happy, like, and it's definitely one of those places that even if you're not going to go dance on the floor with the characters, you're going to smile watching it all happen.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, watching the kids be, so into it and dancing and playing the games. And then like I was standing in line to meet Russell and Doug while my kids were like dancing and playing and stuff. And, I felt totally fine because they're right there and I'm, saving us a spot in line. And it was just, it was great. I can't recommend that spot enough for if you're going with kids.
And it really does confine them a little bit. Like now that you're mentioning it, it's a nice way to keep them contained, I guess, while you're there.
Yes.
So if you're spending a day at the parks, let's say you're traveling and you're coming in and you're like, hey, I want to do the Pixar Fest stuff, but I also want to do the rest of the parks as well. What would you suggest? Like, is there a time they should go? Is there a way to get through the day that you suggest that's best for that?
Well, I would say, so the playtime party doesn't open until 11:30. So you've got a few hours when the park is open that you can't go do that. I would say if you're traveling, you're going to want to rope drop. I always recommend if you're doing this is like your one trip, you have to rope drop. You just can't not rope drop. Rope drop and go do, depending, it varies. If you have very little kids, maybe you're going to want to do some Fantasyland stuff. If you got bigger kids, you can do the bigger rides, rope drop those. But I would say go first thing in the morning, do some of those rides that are on like your must do list and get those, done. And then you can go do the Pixar playtime party. You can do that for an hour and a half. And then you got the rest of your afternoon to just kind of do whatever else you please. I mean, I feel like if you have done playtime party, you've done a lot and you can, you don't have to be searching for all these other Pixar things to do. Those are fun. But if you've got like one day or 1 or 2 days, I would just focus there because you're going to get to do and see so much. And then you have the rest of the day to experience the rest of the park.
That's so true. And we didn't even talk about, they have Together Forever also, the fireworks in the evening or projections depending on the night. And you can get a spot for that fairly easily if you just line up on Main Street, a half an hour before the show. And we could have addressed more of that, but I enjoyed it. It's fun. And you get to see the Up House fly over the castle, which to me is just one of the most magical things that Disneyland's ever done. And do you have a favorite part of that now that I'm getting sidetracked?
I do love that part. The Up House is very part. It kind of gives you like the full body chills because you hear the music and then you see the balloons on the castle and then the house flies across. It's very, it's kind of like an emotional scene. Up is a very emotional movie. And so that part is just really, it's special.
I completely agree. And it also makes you wonder what else could they do?
Really.
It definitely is one of those.
We had Baymax. We had, all these things flying across. That'd be the possibilities.
Well, and Buzz Lightyear at the beginning of the show too. It is very cool. So we have 3 more months. Is that right? May, June, July, 3 months.
Yeah. August 4th.
What are you most looking forward to during the entire Pixar Fest season throughout the summer?
Definitely, I will be at the playtime party with my kids a lot. I know I keep hounding on it, but that's for me, that's what my kids love. They love doing the dancing with the cast members and all that stuff. I can foresee a lot of summer days spent there with them.
And it's in the shade now that as soon as you said summer. Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's in the shade. You can get the, I'm blanking, the Lotus. Lotus. What's Lotso?
Oh, yes.
The Lotso drink, which comes with a popsicle. So hot summer days, it's just perfect. I would like to have my kids. We don't often stay for fireworks just because it's late for them, but during the school year specifically, but during the summer we'll do that. So I'm excited to do the fireworks with them during the summer. Definitely.
That is very cool. And I'm going to be looking for those Pizza Planet trucks since I have.
Yes.
I will admit it's an unfair thing because I write most of the articles on the website. And so I've seen where most of them are. And I try to do this whole don't look too closely thing, whatever. It is what it is. Well, thank you so much for being on. Tell people, where can they find you?
So I am on both YouTube and Instagram as Chasing Magic Daily.
That is so easy to find. And we'll have links to that in the show notes. Thank you, Lindsay, for being on. It's always fun hanging out with you in the park and doing media events together. Who would have guessed we've known each other for quite some time? And you never know how life is going to have you connect in different ways, right?
You don't. Yeah. This has been wonderful. Thank you so much for having me.
You bet. Thank you for listening to this episode of Daps Magic, the podcast, as we talked about Pixar Fest. A huge thank you also to my guest, Lindsay, from Chasing Magic Daily. Be sure to check out her Instagram and also her YouTube channel. You're going to love it. I know I do. I hope you enjoyed our chat about this seasonal celebration of all that is Pixar at the Disneyland Resort as well. And if you have any thoughts or suggestions, please let us know in the comments or on social media. You can also chat with us in our community on Patreon or on Facebook as we enjoy celebrating Disney and positive stuff. We have some exciting things planned for the future episodes, so we look forward to chatting with you then. We also hope that you will join us to help make the world a little bit better, a little bit more positive, and a little bit kinder. One way you can do this is by joining our Chalk Walk team at chalkwalk.org/dapsmagic. You can join us on Sunday, July 21st, 2024, as we have a fantastic time walking through Disneyland and Disney California Adventure while also supporting the Children's Hospital of Orange County. You can join our team today and walk with us on July 21st. We hope to see you there. Thank you again for listening to Daps Magic, the podcast. Know that we appreciate you and we're thankful for you. Make it a great week, everyone, and keep kind.